You're not tired, you're not lazy. You're living as someone you no longer believe in, and that's why everything feels stuck. Let's be honest for a moment. Your life didn't collapse. It didn't fall apart dramatically. It just slowed down. You still show up. You still handle responsibilities. You still function. But inside, something feels disconnected, like you're watching your own life instead of driving it. You make plans, but they don't carry urgency anymore. You think about change, but you don't trust yourself enough to commit. And the worst part, you can't explain why. This didn't start randomly. It started after your first real failure. Not a small setback, not a bad day. The first thing you truly believed in. The thing you imagined would change everything. You told people about it. You invested time. You attached your identity to it. And then it failed. And when it failed, it didn't just hurt your confidence. It quietly changed how you see yourself. You stopped expecting things to work out. You stopped trusting your own decisions. You started playing safe without realizing it. Listen carefully. You didn't quit on life. You quit on the version of you that takes risks, and now you're stuck between two identities. The old one that failed, and the new one you're afraid to claim. That's why motivation doesn't last. That's why discipline feels forced. That's why progress feels heavy. It's not lack of effort, it's identity confusion. And until that's addressed, nothing really moves. Here's the truth no one prepares you for. Your first major failure was necessary. Not to punish you, not to humble you, but to expose the limits of who you were at that time. That version of you had belief, but not structure, hope, but not resilience, ambition, but not endurance. So when pressure came, it cracked. And instead of understanding that failure correctly, you personalized it. You thought it meant, maybe I'm not built for this. Maybe I aimed too high. Maybe I should stop trying so hard. That's where the damage happened. Because failure didn't end your dream, it ended your self-trust. Don't skip this. When self-trust breaks, people don't stop dreaming, they stop committing. They lower expectations, they avoid full effort, they stay busy, but not bold. And then they call it realism. But realism without growth is just fear with a better name. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Failure doesn't say, you are incapable. Failure says, this version of you is incomplete. That's not rejection, that's instruction. You weren't wrong for trying, you were early. But instead of upgrading your identity, you froze it at the moment of failure. So every new opportunity now feels heavier. Risk feels personal. Effort feels dangerous. Because deep down, your brain is protecting you from re-experiencing that identity collapse. That's why motivation alone doesn't work, because motivation pushes action, but identity controls permission. If you don't believe you're the kind of person who follows through, your mind will sabotage consistency every time. So the solution isn't hype, it's evidence. You rebuild identity by proving, quietly, that you can be trusted again. Not through massive wins, through small, disciplined actions done repeatedly. That's how self-respect comes back. Here's the moment where things change. You stop asking, what if I fail again? And you start asking, what kind of person keeps going anyway? Identity is not what you say you are, it's what you do consistently, especially when no one is watching. The old you needed results to feel confident. The new you builds discipline first and lets confidence catch up. The old you waited to feel ready. The new you moves while uncertain. The old you avoided discomfort. The new you understands discomfort is the price of expansion. This is where stuck people separate from unstoppable ones. Not by talent, not by luck, by decision. A decision that says, I don't disappear after setbacks. I don't abandon myself when things get hard. I don't let one failure decide who I am forever. That decision won't feel dramatic. It won't feel inspiring at first. It will feel uncomfortable, quiet, almost boring. But it will be honest, and honesty is powerful. Because every time you do what you said you would, your identity strengthens. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, self-trust rebuilds. And slowly, the person you became after failure loses control. You don't erase the past, you outgrow it. That's real growth. You're not stuck because you lack potential. You're stuck because you're still living under an old identity. So start today. One action, one decision, one moment of discipline. And if you're done making excuses and ready to build an identity that follows through, subscribe. This channel is for people who choose discipline over calm.